Only paying me $5 an hour.
All right, guys, we're back here. Got another video for you. Ryan here, more toys, more noise, and you guys asked for it. We're doing Chaincase today. If you saw my oil change video, I had some comments from you guys who wanted to see how to do the Chaincase. So today we're gonna do the Chaincase and the oil because they kind of go hand in hand. Got to take the oil reservoir off with the Chaincase cover. So we're going to do it all at the same time so you can see the whole process, get your sled ready for the winter season. So here it is, sled's ready to go. I'm going to show you how to get started, show you all the tools you're going to need, that sort of thing. I also want to let you know we just recently hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you for that. It's a big milestone for me. I'm pretty happy about it. Going to be making a video for the 1,000 subscribers. I'm not sure what we're gonna do for it yet, but it should be something cool. So stay tuned for that. Also want to say I hit 1,000 subscribers on TikTok as well. So if you haven't checked out my TikTok, check that out. The handle is More Toys, More Noise. And yeah, so anyway, let's get started with this video. It's my first time doing this myself, so bear with me, and really hope it helps you out. So let's get to it. Get yourself a Torx T30 and take the seat off. Take the seat off, and if you have a limited like this one, it's got a heated seat, so you're gonna have to disconnect this coupler. If you don't, well, you should have got the limited.
I don't know if the subscribers are gonna recognize me. I had a little bit of a beard last year.
They don't recognize you without the stash, the porn stash. Yeah. Just these little hood pins here. Pull those out. Sure you've taken your side panels off before. I think it's just a twist, yeah. Twist, unsnap it up here, so that's one side off. The reason we're taking all this stuff off is just so we're gonna have more room to work, get at what we need to get at. Okay, that piece is off. Maybe if I actually make some money with this channel, we can afford a heater.
I can barely see through my breath.
Guys, subscribe so I can buy a heater.
This sled's filthy, by the way. Look at it.
It is filthy. It's a little dirty, yeah. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pop the exhaust off. Oh, it's nice and warm, which is so nice right now. There's 3 bolts here. And then there's going to be a few springs holding it in too. What do we got? We got a 10 mil on top and we got a 13 on the bottom. So, oh no. Take these 3 bolts off and Bob's your uncle.
Only paying me $5 an hour.
After those 3 bolts here for the exhaust, there's just 1 spring and then it'll pop right out, and it's the spring's located.
Got a nice.
Can you see it? Or so basically that you're gonna take that spring off. So if you have a spring puller, if not, I made my own with the screwdriver. You just cut out a little notch there. Homemade jobby. So there's a spring and there's your exhaust.
Give me the spring there, right?
All right. Big old suitcase. If you're traveling, pack light. We have a there's a bracket in here, right in the footwell. So in order to drain the oil, this is in your way, so we need to remove that. And the bracket is also a T20. 2 bolts at the top. There's also 2 at the bottom. There you go. 4 bolts. There's your bracket. Pull that out. All right, next step, guys, get yourself a drain pan because we're about to drain the oil and I'm going to show you how to do that. There, that's the drain bolt right there. So we're going to take that out and the oil is going to go into this pan. So basically, you want the pan under this hole right here in there so you can see through there. So let's make sure that pan is positioned properly there. I want to show you this trick that's going to help drain your oil without making a mess. So all you need is just an empty container of oil, a 1 liter container of oil, and basically you're just going to, I don't know, hopefully you can see this. You're going to cut it down like this. Okay, well, he showed me the trick with the oil container, but where do you put it? Well, I'm going to show you that too, so don't get your panties in a knot. All right, so hopefully you can see this. So you're just going to slide this. So the oil is going to go into the container, out the spout, through the running board, and into the container. I want the front of the snowmobile to be slightly higher than the back. 1, it's going to make sure all the oil drains out of the oil pan, and 2, it's going to make sure that the oil flows the proper way in that homemade funnel I just made. So the drain bolt is a 9/16. All right, so now that you've cracked it loose, you're going to get your funnel again, get that in place. All right, for this part, I'll wear my rubber glove because I know that I'm probably going to get oil on me. Guys, while the oil's draining, take your drain plug. We're going to replace the rubber gasket, so you can just take a small screwdriver, work the old one off, replace the old gasket with the new one you got in your oil change kit, and then reinstall the drain plug, and we'll go on to the next step. So go ahead and reinstall your drain plug, and remember, do not over tighten it. You can probably go online and find the torque specs for that drain bolt. I'm just going to snug it up, and most importantly, don't over tighten it. Once you take these 3 torques off, the T20 torques, you're going to pull this actuator off and get it out of the way. So you could see the actuator. It looks like the keyway is at the bottom, so you want to make sure when you put that back in, it's the same way. So it's like a little tensioner underneath. You're going to pull this tensioner out. So you pull this out after you pull the tensioner out. Check, make sure the 2 O-rings are on there, and make sure this keyway is facing down when we put it back in. So yeah, so that's out. Put it aside. All right, so now you're gonna take a couple of these lines off because we're gonna split this. So got a line here to take. We're gonna disconnect this one. I'll show you the lines after we disconnect them. Okay, there's that guy off. We're just gonna take this little bracket off because it's kind of holding these pipes in place. Probably gonna have a lot more room with these out of the way, hopefully. Pop that bracket off. I guess that's all you're gonna do. All right, we got all the hoses kind of popped off here. So this guy's off. The one at the bottom here, you can see the rest of the oil from that line drain down here. This guy's off. So just be careful with the hoses, right? You know, when you're breaking them loose, you obviously don't want to tear any of those hoses. This coupler here, you're gonna go ahead and disconnect this because this is gonna stay with the oil tank when we remove it. So take that off. And now we're just gonna go ahead and get a, this is a T30, and you're gonna do all these black bolts, all these Torx around here, and we're gonna split the chain case. And then we'll show you when it's off. This bottom bolt, I needed kind of a shorter extension, so I had to kind of rig up something, but it's gonna work, so I hope. There we go. I've seen people use vice grips and different things, but if you just have a short extension, it works. I know a lot of guys will use an oil extractor for this, which you can. You can just stick the hose down in where you took the reverse gear out of, down that hole. You can stick your extractor hose down there and drain the fluid that way. I just wanted to split it so I could inspect and make sure all the shavings are out, just have a look at the condition of the inside of the case, the chain, the tensioner, all that stuff. So that's how we're gonna do it this time around. Chain case is separating, as you can see, but it's kind of hitting the side of the plastic here. So this hole right here, there was a T20 Torx holding that plastic there. So now you can see this whole piece just moves freely, and now the chain case is really separating. So that just made the job way easier. So take this Torx out here. It's just fastened to the bar here. This allows your plastic to move, and there is the inside of the case. So let me open that up and we can have a look. There we are. There's the inside of the case. We have the chain case off, guys, and like I said before, after taking this bolt off that held the plastic here, this side panel just moves right out of your way. So now there is the chain case. Down at the bottom here, that's full of metal shavings because that's a magnet there, meant to trap all those shavings. So what you want to do is just grab a rag and try to just wipe all those shavings off. Just have a look inside, make sure you know there's no damage to any of the gears or the chain. Make sure your tensioner is properly set up. Yeah, everything's looking pretty good, and it looks like, see at the top, move this out of the way there, see right there, looks like that's another magnet. So go ahead and remove the shavings on that as well. This is that's my speedometer that goes into the outer casing of the chain case, and kind of fell off last year, so I'm gonna have to put some glue, you know, wipe the grease off and glue it back. Maybe some PL Premium, something like that, silicone, something to keep it in there. Good old Articat or Yamaha, whoever's responsible. There is the inside of the cover. Right here, there was a washer, which I returned right there. So if you drop that washer, you know that's where it goes, flat side out like that. We're gonna go ahead and clean all this out with a clean rag. Just make sure the gasket is in good shape. Make sure your chain guides aren't too worn. Obviously, if they're worn out, replace them. Go ahead and clean all this up. Clean all this up and we'll get it ready to reinstall. And then we're going to, you can see the blue residue from the Loctite. So we're gonna go ahead and use Loctite again when we're reinstalling this. And then we're gonna top it up with Chaincase fluid. Once you've cleaned out your cover half, make sure you inspect your chain case. Like I said, clean out the magnets at the bottom, the magnet at the top here. Make sure your washer goes back where it needs to go. And then we're ready to put the case back on. So reinstall the cover the same way it came out. Pull this plastic back and get it in there. And then I just kind of, while I was getting the Loctite ready, I just put one bolt in here just to kind of hold the case on. So get yourself some blue Loctite, reinstall all those black bolts. All right, the cover is reinstalled. All the black Torx are reinstalled. Put blue Loctite on them. All torqued off to spec. Hoses reconnected. That little holder's back on. Now that all the hoses are done, we're going to use this hole to refill the chain case and then put the gear tensioner back in there and this assembly back on. And then the chain case part is finished. And get a funnel, or if you don't have a funnel with a long spout, you can just add a rubber tube to the end so you can make sure it gets in and down there. This funnel has a long spout, so it works for me. And then go ahead and get your chain case oil. This chain case calls for 12 ounces, so we're gonna go ahead and put 12 ounces of the AMSOIL synthetic chain case oil. It's what I recommend. A lot of guys say this is better than the cat oil, so this year I'm going to go AMSOIL, and yeah, probably just keep using this from now on. You have down here your sight glass, so you'll be able to watch it fill up down there. There you go, you can see on the sight glass, it's about a quarter full. Once you've filled up your oil, go ahead and put the gear back in. Make sure the keyway is at the bottom centered, and you'll feel it kind of sink with the gear inside the chain case. So just make sure the teeth line up, have a look, push it in, you'll kind of feel it. And then you just put the little tensioner, you just kind of compress it with the spring, it slides right in, actually goes in quite easy. And then after that, we're gonna put the rest of the assembly back in. Got the assembly back on, reconnected this coupler here. Just make sure everything's in here neatly tucked away. Like I said, this thing I gotta glue on back to the case down here, so I'll do that later. The sight glass is showing about just over half, just right where you want it, so that's good. Everything else, all the hoses, this holder down here is back, this guy up here too. Now we're gonna put the exhaust back on. Exhaust is back in, put your 3 bolts, get your spring puller to pull that spring back up. I used a pair of needle nose vice grips just to hold the spring upright. And then while I had that clamped, I grabbed the spring puller, put it in, released the pliers, and I was able to pull that spring back up. The next part is you're going to remove this bottom hatch. And this one is a T30. So remove this hatch so that it lets you get access to the oil filter. All right, guys, now you can get a good look at inside the hatch. All right, so you got your oil filter and you have your other drain plug. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open up this drain plug and get a pen under here. I cracked the drain plug loose, so it's just finger tight now. You can see it starting to drip already. So I'm just gonna remove it. Hopefully not get too much oil on my hand. It's probably not the case. There we go. Got the second drain bolt out, and the oil's still draining over there, so we're just gonna let it do its thing. In the meantime, you'll see you have this little washer, brass or copper. I don't know what it is, maybe copper, not sure. Let's call it copper. All right, so you got this little copper washer that's on the drain bolt, and your oil change kit should have came with a new one. So just take your new one, and you're gonna put flat side out, just like this. The oil's finished draining, and now we're just gonna put the drain plug back in with the new washer. So you're just gonna snug it up. And we're moving on to the oil filter now. So if you have an oil filter wrench, use that. Or maybe you have a specific one that fits this filter. I just used a pair of pliers like this. Now I can pretty much just go ahead and take it off now by hand. So you want to make sure you have the oil pan, because again, this is gonna drip. You know, try not to. So once you take the oil filter off a little bit, it's almost best to just let that oil come out, because it's coming out in a nice stream straight down into the bucket, so that's good. And once that's done, you can just go ahead and completely remove it after. There you go, there's your oil filter. Now you're going to take your new filter and reinstall it. First, you'll just dip your finger in some of that oil, and you're just going to rub that oil on the gasket here. Just oil up that gasket. I like to oil up the threads too of this. So once you got that all oiled up, you reinstall the filter. Snug it up, but don't over tighten it. Once you have your filter and your drain screw back on, you can just wipe any oil that may have leaked, clean that up, and then it's time to put your hatch back on. All right, snug those up. Don't over tighten. And now, finally, we are done underneath the sled. The last part of this job is putting the oil in. So let's get to that. I'm super happy that we're done working underneath the sled. Finally, we can stand up again and everything from now on is very easy. So you're gonna take the jack stands out if you had those, and then we're just gonna lower the jack. Now grab your oil and a funnel. Take your oil cap out. Go ahead and fill it back up. I'm gonna probably leave about half a liter in here till I check the oil level. I just put 3.5 liters in there. I'm gonna check it right now, see where it's at, and then go from there. Because it's always easier to add oil than to have to take it out. So you got your dipstick here, you can see your normal is where you want the oil. Now that I know there's enough oil in it, I'm probably gonna fire up the motor, kind of get that oil circulating, and then check it again after that. Ran the sled, let it sit for a couple minutes. I checked the oil again, and now that it's circulated, filled up the filter and stuff, it shows it needs more oil. So we're gonna go ahead and add some more. So we topped it up again. I checked the oil, ended up using the whole jug, and it's exactly where it needs to be, so that's perfect. The whole jug's gone, oil's full on the sled, and basically now we just have to put it all back together, and I'll show you how to do that again. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna reinstall this bracket in your footwell. Again, these are gonna be a T20. Make sure all 4 bolts are nice and tight, and that bracket's back on. I'm gonna reinstall this plastic piece now, T20. Don't forget this clip down here. Grab your seat now. Reconnect the wire. This is a T30. Reinstall your side panels. Last side panel here, put this on. Alright guys, we're all done. That was an oil change on an Arctic Cat 7000 or a Yamaha Viper. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope it helped you out. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Don't miss any upcoming videos. Hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one.